Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial by Zebra Code. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to use Visual Studio Code for C programming language. In the process, we will download, install, and configure Visual Studio Code and MinGW for C programming language. We are going to carry out some tasks, and those tasks involve download and install Visual Studio Code, download and install MinGW, install C extension tools in Visual Studio Code, create, compile, and run C programs in Visual Studio Code. To do that, we will have to download MinGW and Visual Studio Code from these websites. For the Visual Studio Code download page, we'll be visiting this website. And for the MinGW download part of it, we will go to the SourceForge website through this link to download it. You can do a Google search for Visual Studio Code download to get to their official website. You can also do a Google search for MinGW and you will find a link to get to the website where you can download it. However, I will follow these two links to get to their official website for the download. But before that, take a minute to subscribe to this channel. By following the link in the previous slide, I am now on the SourceForge website where we are going to download MinGW 64-bit from. As at the time of recording this video, this is how their website looks. It may have changed by the time you would be watching the video or downloading the MinGW tool. You can click on download here or click on files to see the various options available. I am going to click on download. It says here your download will start shortly. Yes, now it's downloading and it has completed the download process. I am going to look for it now in where it was downloaded to on my system. I will click on show in folder. Yes, now it shows that it was downloaded to my downloads folder. Yours is likely to have been downloaded to your downloads folder as well. It is an executable file .exe, so let's install it. To install it, let's double click on it. Great. This page will pop up for the installation. Click on install. By default, it will tell you the installation directory that is going to install it in. It is likely going to be on your C drive. Here it says now C:\MinGW, which means it's going to install it on my C drive. Leave it as it is, unless you have a reason to change it. In my case, I am going to change it because I already have MinGW installed on my computer. You don't have to do this. You can leave it as it is by default. Because I'm going to change the directory, I'll click here. I have now changed my installation directory to where I would want it to be installed in. I have a folder that I want to install mine in. You don't have to change it. You can leave it as it was by default. Note down the directory you are installing it in. If it is on your C drive, leave it there by default and note the path. Now that I have changed my directory to a new directory, a folder that I want to install it in, I'm going to click continue. The installation manager will guide you through the process of installing it. Now click continue. This page will pop up and says no package selected. Here we need to select the tool that we want to install. Click on MinGW32-GCC-G++. This one here. Select it, right click on it and select this option mark for installation. Now go to installation, click on it, and select apply changes. And here, click on apply. Be patient, wait while it downloads different packages for the installation. Great, it is done. It says all changes were applied successfully. You may now close this dialog. Close it. And now here it shows installed version, which means 6.3.0-1 was the version that we have just installed. This may change by the time you will be installing it. So this MinGW installation manager will also have a shortcut on your desktop which you can double click on to manage your package. If you want to uninstall it, you can click on it as well, right click on it, mark for removal. We are not going to remove it here because we need it, that's why we are installing it. Here it says basic setup. You can also click on all packages and it will show you these ones. We have MSYS and we have MinGW here. So now I'll click on basic setup to bring back this window where we installed this version. Now we have successfully installed MinGW on our computer. You will find a shortcut for MinGW manager on your desktop. If you have any reason to bring up this window again, you just double click on it and it will bring it up. Now we have completed the installation process. The next thing we need to do now is to add it to our environment variable. To do that, we need to navigate to the folder where we installed it in on our system. Yours is likely going to be on your C drive. Remember that I changed my directory earlier, so I am going to navigate now to that directory. This is the folder that I installed it in on my system. Yours is likely going to be on your C drive, C:\MinGW. Look for it and open the directory, open the folder. With the folder open, click on bin to open it. Yes, now you can see different executable files. We have here C++.exe. We have here G++.exe, which is for C++. We also have here GCC.exe, which is for the C programming language. There are many other executable files here. You can scroll down to look at them. Now, what you need to do is to copy this path. Select it and copy it. Make sure that it ends with \bin because we are going to set the environment variable and we need it. Copy the path. Now, click on search, type in variables. This will bring up the edit system environment variables option in your control panel. Click on it. Here, click on environment variables. And here, at the bottom, look for path and select it. Under system variables, look for paths. Click edit. Now click new and paste that folder path that you just copied. Make sure that it ends with \bin. In your case, it's likely going to be C:\MinGW\bin. Yours is likely going to be like this. C:\, MinGW / bin. If you left it as it was by default, it would be on your C drive, so it should be like this. But in my case, because I changed the directory, it is going to be like this. Make sure that it ends with /bin. Now click OK. Here click OK and click OK. Click OK for everything. The next thing for us to do now is to check that we have set the environment variable correctly. Open a CMD prompt, that is the command prompt. Type here CMD. Here type in G++ space -v, hit enter. Great. Now it tells me the option of G++ that I have just installed. Yours might be something similar. To check for GCC, you do the same thing, GCC space -v, hit enter. Exactly. It tells you as well the version of GCC that you have installed. GCC for the C programming language, while G++ for the C++ programming language. So now we have successfully downloaded and installed MinGW 64 on our system. The next thing for us to do now is to download and install Visual Studio Code. I'm going to close this. I will close this. And I will close this. We don't need those ones anymore. Now, let's download Visual Studio Code. And we will be going to this web link to download it. You can also do a Google search for Visual Studio Code download to get to the official website where you can download it from, but I am going to follow this link. By following the link on the previous slide, I am now on their official website. As at the time of recording this video, this is how their website looks. It says here, code editing redefined, free, built on open source, runs everywhere. There are many ways you can download it. You can download it as a zip file and run it without installing it, or you can download it and install it. If I click here, it will give me these options. Windows 64-bit user installer, this is one option. Linux, this is their option. Mac OS, this is their option. If you click on here, download, it will show you this page. Here we have different options. User installer 64-bit, system installer 64-bit, .zip 64-bit. If you download the zip version, you will be able to run it even without installing it. I am going to simply click on this Windows option. Click on this. It is downloading. Great. It was downloaded successfully. Now let's look for it in where it was downloaded to on our system. I will click on the show in folder option. It was downloaded to my downloads folder. Yours is likely going to be in your downloads folder as well. Look for it in wherever it was downloaded to on your computer. It is a .esc file, which means it is an executable file. Now to install it, I will double click on it. Great. The installer manager will open. You need to read the license agreement for the Visual Studio Code product, and if you're happy with it, you accept it. Here I'll click I accept the agreement, click next. And here for additional icons, select create a desktop icon, and here make sure that this one is ticked, add to path. Require share restart, but that means we don't have to manually add it to path, so it will add it for us automatically. Make sure this one is ticked. it was ticked by default. Leave it as it is. Now click Next. It shows here the options we have selected. Now click Install. Be patient, it won't take too long. Great. The Microsoft Visual Studio Code tool was installed on our computer successfully. It says here, click Finish to exit setup. Launch Visual Studio Code, leave it, click Finish. Now we have successfully installed the Microsoft Visual Studio Code tool. I am going to close these ones. We don't need them anymore. Now we close this one or minimize it. Great. The Visual Studio Code shortcut icon is now on our desktop. We can now open Visual Studio Code. There are different ways that we can open Visual Studio Code after installing it on our computer. We can double click on the shortcut icon on our desktop to open it. We can also go to the Start menu and search for it in our program list. And here we have Visual Studio Code in our program list. We can double click on it here to launch it, or we launch it through a folder. Another way to launch Visual Studio Code is to create a folder anywhere on our computer and use the command line CMD command prompt to navigate to the folder and launch Visual Studio Code from the folder. To do that, now I will create a folder on my desktop and give it a name, Introduction. Introduction, hit enter. Great. Now I will use the command line to navigate to this folder. In the search field here, type in CMD as command prompt, open it, and that folder is on my desktop. I will CD as change directory, desktop, and the name of the folder is Introduction. Now we change directory to that folder, CD, Introduction, hit enter. Great. Now I am inside this Introduction folder. I can now launch Visual Studio Code. To do that, I will type in code, C-O-D-E, space, dot, and hit enter. Great. Now Visual Studio Code has launched successfully. This is the Get Started page. You can close it or leave it, but now this is our folder, Introduction folder. So inside this folder, I can create a file, but before I do that, let me quickly install an extension for C programming language if it is not already installed. Here, this extensions icon, click on it. Let me expand this. Here you can type in C and it will bring out all C and C++ related extensions. This is the one we are looking for, C/C++, IntelliSense by Microsoft. Click on it. If you install any modern version of Visual Studio Code, this extension will be installed by default. That is, it will be pre-installed. In my case, now it says uninstall, which means it has been installed by default. It says this extension is enabled globally. If yours wasn't installed, you can click on it here and install it. Great. Another extension we would want to install is Code Runner. Type in here Code Runner, and this extension will come up the .run extension. When you click on it, it shows here that this extension has been installed. It was installed by default. Modern versions of Visual Studio Code come with it by default. If yours wasn't installed by default, click on it here and install it. So now we have those two extensions installed and we are ready to program C in Visual Studio Code. Now I'm going to close this one. and I will click on this one to bring back the editors. Now with the introduction folder open and this panel active, let's create a file for our C application. Click on this little icon, the plus for new file, and let's give it a name, app.c. App.c is the name of our file. Hit enter. Great. Now we have a file named app.c, and let's enter some C programming language code. So include stdio.h int main void return 0 semicolon. Now I'm going to use printf double quote hello world backslash new line semicolon. Now save it. This time let's run it. To run our app.c program, click on this little icon here and choose the option run code. We are able to see this third option because we installed Code Runner. If you did not install Code Runner, or if Code Runner was not installed for you by default, you will only have these two options. But in our case now we are having three options because we installed Code Runner. So now click on run code. Exactly, it says here hello world, and here we have an executable file app.exe. It is the same name as the name of the file we created, our app.c. This one is the executable file app.exe. You can modify this code and run it again. For example, I can say here print f I love VS Code and C programming semicolon, one printf again, double quote, please subscribe to our channel Zebra Code semicolon. Now save it. This time let's run it again. Click on this icon, run code. Great. Exactly. Here it says hello world. I love VSC and C programming. Please subscribe to our channel Zebra Code. So this is how you use Visual Studio Code for the C programming language. In this tutorial, we have successfully downloaded Visual Studio Code and installed it. We have successfully downloaded MinGW and installed it. We have successfully created a C application and we run it successfully. I hope you learned something from this video. Please subscribe to our channel if you have not already done so. Comment in the comment section, share and like the video. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye for now.